Hey, what's up? It's Phoenix. Today I'm here to talk about pain and suffering and struggles and difficulties and adversity. I do definitely talk about pain a lot. In two religious traditions, Buddhism and Christianity, suffering has a centerfold piece in what life is really all about and what even the religion is about. With Christianity, you have Jesus on the cross. And with Buddhism, you have the Four Noble Truths and how the goal of individuals in the world is to alleviate suffering. And there are other religions and traditions that think a lot about suffering and pain. Now, pain and suffering are obviously contrasting terms, or at least different terms. And I recognize that I kind of conflate them sometimes, and I talk a lot about pain in my writing, specifically my own pain and the suffering I see in the world. But that's because I think pain is a rich source of information and knowledge and wisdom. Not necessarily the pain itself, which is sometimes arbitrary and cruel, but also just the fact that pain exists, the fact that pain is here at all. And I definitely write about it in my poetry because I write about the strong emotions that I may feel, the suffering that I feel. And I'll admit, I don't really know what to do with the reality of pain, short of just accepting it as it is. I think about it because in my life, I've experienced a lot of rejections. I've experienced a lot of hardship. People have not always treated me well. And with all of these things, I just think, what do I do with this insurmountable pain that I feel from my mental illness? And I don't always know what to do with it. I don't always think that I'll be able to survive. And whether I'm dealing with rejection or judgment or ostracism, or even sometimes betrayal, it can be really hard to figure out what to do. And that's why I write about it. I've definitely gotten the feedback that I could write about other things, which is definitely true. And I do, for the most part. I try to have a wide range of topics that I cover. But I just keep coming back to the very existence of pain. And I'm not necessarily talking about it from the perspective of something that you need to get rid of necessarily, even though I do want to be healed. But when I talk about my wounds and the wounds ripped open by circumstances beyond my control, it can be really hard to figure out what to do with that pain. It's so visceral. There's two types of pain, you could say, or actually multiple types. There's, of course, physical pain, but then there's also mental and spiritual and even social pain. And you have these things that exist and that we have to experience every day, almost every day at least, with our hardship and our struggles. And I admit I don't always know what to do with it. Pain is very inexplicable and it changes your behavior. I know that when people are in physical pain, they aren't the same person. I know that I'm not the same person when I'm in deep mental anguish. And it's trying to figure out what to do with that reality. I'm not really sure that there is a lot that I can do. There's definitely a lot of good in the world, and I see that, and I validate it and acknowledge it, and I try to focus on that as well. But I just feel like we as humans are not very good at acknowledging the pain that we feel and even thinking about what the pain means. It may not mean anything on any deep level, but it's still such a fundamental process and part of our lives. And I think that what we need to do is try to understand that that the pain is there and that it exists. I keep thinking that so much of pain and suffering is avoidable, that there's so much of it that shouldn't happen, but that does. I don't really know how to feel about it because I feel like the pain exists nonetheless. It's this thing that doesn't go away. It's this thing that's always going to be there. And I struggle because I guess my ideal would be to have no pain in my life, but I've been living with my mental illness for so long that it's easy for me to see my mental illness as being something that I can't avoid, as being something that I can't change, that it is just an integral part of my life. And I think about it because if this is all true, then what do? How do you make the world better? How do you not succumb to nihilism? How do you not lose any kind of sense of meaning or purpose? How do you not lash out at others? How do you not exist in a horrible existential state of mind and live in this pure anguish? And I don't really know what to do about it, honestly, because I know that it exists and I know that it's there, but I'm processing it like anyone else. I recently wrote a 5-part essay called Aftermath, which I put on my blog, at least have been putting it on my blog and serializing it. But it's basically a situation where it's like I needed to process everything that's been happening in my life, and I needed to do that with my essay. And it's because I don't always know how to process pain. I don't know how you deal with it. Sometimes the pain can just feel so overwhelming and maddening and make you feel like you don't have any choices or like nothing that you do matters. And it can be a horrible place to be. I know that I've definitely experienced a lot of psychic pain, a lot of depressive symptoms and paranoia and fear, anger, as well as the bipolar and fluctuating moods and delusions and all of these various things. And I haven't always known what to do with them. And so it's definitely important that I focus on pain, not necessarily talking about it to death or even writing about it to death, even though I find it meaningful, but just acknowledging that the pain is there, being able to sit with it. There's a reason why pain is such an integral part of our lives. I would say the only thing that might be just as integral is death, and death is the finality of everything that we could ever know. And so in that way, it's just kind of figuring out what to do with that pain. I wish I had more of a conclusion. I wish with my intellect and my desires to explore and investigate that I had more of a response to it. But I realize that I don't. For me, it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing thing. I guess that's why people say to just focus on the beautiful things in your life. And I get that too. I think that's a very important sentiment. So yeah, if you're suffering in your life, I get it. Rejection is tough. Suffering is tough. Needless suffering, inflicted pain from others is really tough. And I do wish there was another way. I guess that's why we figure out what we need to do. I'm Phoenix. I hope you'll check out my videos. Hit like and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, thanks for watching, and definitely check out my books, check out my other videos. And yeah, I'm Phoenix, and I will see you next time.